Yes.
Okay. Well, Professor Cenzer, thank you so much for accepting my request for having an interview with me on camera. I know it is not so comfortable, but thank you for accepting this request. And I wanted to ask you questions about being a mathematician and in general what this profession is. And I want to get your insights on it due to you being much more senior than I am, and as a young professional, I want to learn whatever I can get, whatever advice that I can get. But I don't want to take so much of your time, so I will just put a 15-minute timer, and when the timer goes off, we can just end our chat so that you can go back to your work. Okay. So now that the timer is there, maybe I should start. What is this profession to you? So what are the aspects of this profession?
Well, I think the main aspect is the mathematical research. We're always working on some new theorem, some new ideas, and we're collaborating with our students, always new students, and always new young people coming along in the profession that have ideas and want to work on projects. So that is the main part of our life, I think. Then more formally, you have the teaching, so we are preparing students. So with the graduate students, you are preparing them to do the research. Undergraduates, some of them may go on to become mathematicians, but most will take on some other career, being a scientist or engineer or something like that. So usually in mathematics, we're helping them to learn to think more clearly, to reason, and maybe giving them some tools that they can use to solve the problems in their work life that's going forward, and increasing their ability, their flexibility, so that as things evolve and new problems arise and new techniques, they'll be able to adapt to those.
And there's also the other departmental work, right? Because you were just doing the chairmanship.
I have always taken on a lot of, departmental responsibilities. I worked with our steering committee, with our tenure and promotion committee. I've been involved with that for a long time, and then that was a natural lead into being chair. Now I'm doing it again, still doing it, but I think, as the chair, you are responsible for the faculty in particular, to some extent for the students and at all levels, but we have a graduate coordinator and also an undergraduate coordinator that takes the brunt of these responsibilities. And as the chair, you're guiding, kind of providing the overall guidance and stepping in if there's a major problem, which happens every 6 months or so. Maybe there are things to do, and then there's the interaction between the department and the administration, the higher administration. So as chair, I have to deal with the dean in particular a lot. And we have close relations also with the former math department chair and provost. So we have good relations.
Actually, Provost
Glover.
Glover is from the math department.
He's from the math department, and we were friends going back to his days here. So, and that can be complicated, balancing the relation, kind of personal relation with the chair, with the provost, with this more business-like relation with the dean of the college, who wants the chain of command to operate. So that's. But we have been. I was most pleased as chair to preside over the new growth of the department, and this has continued with our current chair.
There has been an amazing growth.
Very rewarding. We're able to.
How many people have you hired in the last years?
Well, we hired just in my last year as chair. I think we hired 13 people.
Wow.
6 tenure track faculty, which is the main component. The other thing is, after pushing this for decades, it appears we have established the value of postdoctoral fellows to the administration. this was a long battle, but now it's become, hopefully it will continue to be a regular part of our hiring to bring in new postdocs every year.
I'm glad that you said that, because as far as I remember, there was always a single postdoc, which was Porter, Professor Porter, when I was leaving, and I don't know who it is now. I know an old professor, Yeşilyurt.
So there are several
here.
now. There are several postdocs. Lee Ben Rong has a postdoc. No, I think Peter Sin, has a postdoc. Peter Bubenik has a postdoc.
Yeah, but I mean the departmental postdoc.
Some of these are specialized, of
Yes.
course. Some Bubenik's comes externally, but still had to be approved
Of course,
locally,
of
which was
course.
not trivial.
Yeah,
I can tell you.
That is my
I can tell
that
you
is my
that.
position at the moment. Yeah.
Yes, but we. So this really helps. Of course, our goal, and this is, every chair has had the goal of moving our mathematics program into the top, group of top public institutions, which is around 30 or so maybe institutions, and we have hovered on the edge of this, but I think with our recent hiring and with the postdocs, that gives us a great improvement. And
I believe so too.
We can,
Yeah.
with the rest of the university, we can also say that we are among the top public institutions.
I think so. I think so too. And UF has been hiring really good names as well. So the hires that I've seen seems to be really great.
Yeah, I was going to say there's a kind of a theme about working with people, and I try to keep the same attitude at all levels. So, I mean, I have children, of course, and this is the most important relationship, and so you love your children, you want to see them succeed, and you're happy when they accomplish things. Well, there's the same feeling, so when you're teaching even, say, an undergraduate class, you really want them to succeed. That's always my goal. I tell the students, I have the goal for this class that everyone can succeed at some level. Everyone can do their best, and I reach out to those students that are having trouble. And this also, of course, for teaching at all levels. And then, with the hiring, I felt that I'm just so happy, to bring these people here, and I can feel that their success, in a way, that's my success. I want all of our new assistant professors, I'm rooting for them to get good results, publish in top journals, achieve funding, and mentor students. And everything that is accomplished at the department, because I had a role in administration, everything that is accomplished by our department and our colleagues, in a way I feel I have in some way I'm somewhat responsible for this.
Well, I'm sure everybody's feeling
part of this,
that it is part of your success. Yeah.
Well, so that's.
Of course, it is a huge legacy that I believe it is a huge success that in your term there has been 13 hires, 6 tenure track, and more coming even. And as you said, I believe UF is going to be able to enter the first 30 in mathematics departments at the very least. But now that you have stepped down from this chairmanship position, is it? I understand that it was already fulfilling. I understand that it was rewarding, but is there life after this chairmanship? So are you feeling more empty now, or is it a better feeling to come back to your research and teaching routine?
It's a happy feeling, of course. Yeah. I mean, I never stopped the research, but I did publish some papers, several papers, but there were projects that were delayed. I mean, this book that I was writing didn't. It's only now really going forward with these books, and a number of papers have finally been submitted. That just never quite got done. Yeah, the chair job takes up a lot of your time, and it's very nice not to be the chair anymore. When the problems come up, it's not my problem. I'm happy to assist, happy to advise, but I don't need to. The new chair is very capable. Only rarely does he want some help.
But it's a really good point that now when the problems appear, it's not your problems anymore.
Yeah,
And I knew that you were publishing papers with your former students now and with your students at that time, and you were working on this book. Maybe I can ask you, what made you decide that there needs to be, that you need to write a book? How did you decide that there was this gap and that you should start compiling your results, the results in the literature?
There are. Well, I was asked by the Association for Symbolic Logic, and
yeah, that's a great motivation.
put together, to kind of transform a long survey article that I had written, which was published in this handbook of computability. There was also an article in Handbook of Recursive Mathematics. This was quite some time ago. So there was a 150-page article. And then I was asked, well, can I convert this to a book that could be published? And it's Perspectives in Mathematical Logic. Bring it up to date and flesh it out somewhat. And so I agreed to do that. And it's been a long process. It's now, the series is now published by the Cambridge University Press. So. Yeah, so this, a lot of it would bring together a good part of my research. This was one of my major areas of research, and a very important part of computability theory within mathematical logic. And it makes connections with other areas, with logic, and also with mathematics and combinatorics, algebra, analysis, and
But
so I enjoy it. So yeah, and I think this would be, and others also thought this would be an important addition, to the literature that could be used to train students and bring together results that are somewhat scattered in the literature. So.
Yeah, because it's so far away from me that I get winded writing 30 pages. Writing a book is not even in the horizons of my thought at the moment. But I know that you're writing papers. I know that there are other people that actually wrote really. I said papers, but you're writing 2 books at the moment, as far as I know, if I'm correct.
Several. Well, there's what is turned into 2 volumes, I guess, or 2 separate books as this textbook for the upper level logic and set theory course, the Foundations of Math. This happened. I just was visiting Singapore, and I had we know we have connections here. Professor Lottie particularly, and our good friend Rochelle. So I was visiting, and because my wife is a librarian, also had a special interest in publishing, and so I was invited to come to visit the headquarters there in Singapore. And I had tea with the president, and very nice, and toured the facility, and then I was asked, well, there's some projects that you have, and I recalled that Professor Jean Larson and myself, and then others have joined, had been developing notes for this course for many decades, going back to maybe even the 1970s. We gradually improved this, and I thought, well, we always said we wanted to publish, put those together and publish. So that was, they made a more formal proposal, and then the company was interested in doing that. At the same time, I mentioned that we have an ongoing series of conferences in logic here each year, and perhaps it would be natural to put together a volume of papers, kind of covering the overall themes, but more in the nature of survey type or review type papers. That this could be something that possibly we could do, and they also agreed with this. So then, but this has been somewhat of a burden then, trying to accomplish all of these goals. We now have all the papers for this review volume. We're going back and forth. I think we're editing the introduction. The World Scientific wanted a more thorough introductory article, I believe. So we are in developing that. It's complicated with several different.
But what I now learned is that it's really natural. It seems that the book appeared over time as the lecture notes transitioned into something big, and the company's proceedings turned into something larger. I was thinking that you or someone might get the urge to say that I want to write this book, but apparently this is not necessarily the case. But of course, there are fortunate events that...
It's just, right, that's right. There was a confluence of events, and in some way, I just was drawn into doing this without really first deciding, oh, I want to do this. I want to do a book. And always the research is more fun and more interesting, and so for a long time, I worked with my good friend, my late friend, Jeffrey Rummel, who passed away 2 years ago. And so he was collaborating with this book. But every time we get together, now we need to go over this chapter of this book, and we would always be thinking, there's this problem we could work on, but I think it would be quite interesting. And there we would go. There we go. And we would write another paper, and instead of doing the book. Well, there.
So it's time, but maybe I can ask you the last thing, if it's not so personal, that you just mentioned that you missed your co-author in this book, and now that you need to make the decisions yourself. When you're making these decisions, how do you think about what your co-author's thoughts might have been? Do you consider his opinions about things that you knew? Or is it more that you want to finish it and you take charge of what is happening at the moment?
I think he's still with me. I feel like I know what he would say.
You know really about
providing to some extent, you need a counterweight. You need someone to say, no, this is wrong, or no. And he would certainly want the writing to be polished and readable. He was one of the school that you need to explain what you're doing. Even in our published articles, research articles,
yep.
We always wrote in such a way that it'd be possible for a reader with background to read it. It wouldn't be so terse as other.
So you were black boxing things that a reader needs to go.
Yeah,
to
we were just saying
articles.
this could easily be done.
Yeah.
Normally we would put in more detail. So I understand, what he would like to do, and also I'm finishing several articles, that were delayed while I was chair. And it was sad because he said he was the year that he passed away, that next year he was going to be on leave for the year, and we were going to do so much work. And
yes, made more papers.
But I think the book,
Yeah.
He was an extremely busy person in research and as well as administration and outreach to the community. He was kind of a model, I think, for all mathematicians. It's more than I can do, the things that he did. But in a way, it's a good. So to think that he was in full flight. He was in midstream, very active in every way, and just not cut down. It's sad for us, but maybe that's how we would like to go. Not dwindling away, but still vigorous. He was totally vigorous at the time as well, as a thought.
Yeah, on that note, it's actually not a low point. That it's a high point that although he passed away, all the research that he's doing, all the things that he worked on is still going to be benefiting the community. They're still going to be published and appearing in the recent in the upcoming years. Well, thanks to you. So maybe.
So I stay in touch with the family.
Of course.
There were a number of special sessions, partly in his honor, that I was able to speak at. Maybe another one coming up in January.
It's Fort Lauderdale. Okay, so in the Florida Logic Conference group.
There's a regular. There are many very attractive. South Florida is very attractive, and this is one of the regular meetings every 2 or 4 years or 4 years they have this. So
Great. Thank you so much. Thanks so much for giving me this interview.
Okay.
It was great.
I'm happy to.